The cost of justice, bribery in African courts. In a small courtroom in the fictional town of Mapinduzi, a young woman named Amina sat nervously, waiting for her case to be called. She had been wrongfully accused of a crime she didn't commit, and her future hung in the balance. Little did she know, the outcome of her case had already been decided, not by evidence, but by a stack of cash quietly exchanged behind closed doors. This is the story of how bribery works in African courts, a practice that undermines justice and leaves countless lives in ruins. Amina was a hard-working market trader, selling fruits and vegetables to support her family. She had built her business from the ground up, relying on her honesty and determination to earn the trust of her customers. One day, a rival trader accused her of theft, claiming she had stolen money from his stall. Despite her protests and the lack of evidence, Amina was dragged into court. She believed in the justice system. She thought the truth would set her free. But she was about to learn a harsh lesson about how bribery works in African courts. Unbeknownst to Amina, her accuser had paid a bribe to ensure her conviction. The rival trader, a man named Juma, had connections within the Mapinduzi court system. He knew that justice could be bought, and he was willing to pay the price. Juma approached a court official, slipping him an envelope filled with cash. "Make sure the case goes in my favor," Juma whispered. The court official nodded, pocketing the money. "Consider it done," he replied. When Amina's case was called, she stood before the judge, confident that the truth would prevail. Her lawyer presented evidence of her innocence, including witness testimonies and receipts proving she had been elsewhere at the time of the alleged theft. But the judge, influenced by the bribe, ignored the evidence. He banged his gavel and declared, "Case dismissed. The defendant is found guilty." Amina was stunned. "But I'm innocent," she cried. "Where is the evidence?" Her cries fell on deaf ears. The bribe had done its work, and she was sentenced to a punishment she didn't deserve. Amina's story is just one of thousands across Africa, where bribery in courts denies countless people their right to a fair trial. So, how does bribery work in African courts? It often starts with a party in a case, usually the one with more money or connections, offering a bribe to influence the outcome. This bribe can go to anyone in the system, the judge, the lawyer, or even court officials. Sometimes it's direct, cash exchanged in secret. Other times it's more subtle, gifts, favors, or promises of future benefits. In some cases, the bribe is paid to expedite a case. For example, a wealthy businessman might pay a court official to fast-track a lawsuit, ensuring a quick resolution in his favor. In other cases, the bribe is used to delay proceedings, dragging out a case until the opposing party runs out of money or patience. And in the most egregious cases, bribes are used to secure outright acquittals or convictions, regardless of the evidence. The consequences of bribery in courts are devastating. For people like Amina, it means losing their freedom, their livelihoods, and their faith in the justice system. For society as a whole, it erodes trust in the rule of law and perpetuates inequality. When justice is for sale, the poor and vulnerable suffer the most. They're left without recourse, trapped in a system that favors the wealthy and connected. But why does this happen? The reasons are complex. Low salaries for judges and court staff, weak oversight mechanisms, and a culture of impunity all contribute to the problem. In many African countries, judges and court officials are underpaid and overworked, making them vulnerable to corruption. Without proper oversight, bribery becomes an open secret, a practice that everyone knows about but few dare to challenge. The impact of bribery in courts extends far beyond individual cases. It undermines the rule of law, discourages foreign investment, and perpetuates poverty. When businesses can't rely on the courts to resolve disputes fairly, they're less likely to invest in the country. This lack of investment stifles economic growth, leaving millions trapped in poverty. Despite these challenges, there is hope. Across Africa, activists, NGOs, and even some governments are working to combat bribery in the courts. In Kenya, for example, the judiciary has implemented a digital case management system to reduce opportunities for corruption. In Rwanda, strict anti-corruption laws and a zero-tolerance policy have significantly reduced bribery in the justice system. Technology is also playing a key role in the fight against corruption. Blockchain, for instance, is being used to create transparent and tamper-proof records of court proceedings. This makes it harder for bribes to influence outcomes, as every decision is recorded and can be audited. Similarly, mobile apps are being developed to allow citizens to report bribery anonymously, empowering them to hold corrupt officials accountable. Education and awareness are also critical. By teaching citizens about their rights and the dangers of bribery, we can create a culture of accountability. Community groups, like the one Amina joined after her ordeal, are leading the charge. They provide support to victims of corruption, advocate for legal reforms, and educate the public about the importance of a fair and transparent justice system. Amina's story is a reminder that while bribery in African courts is a serious issue, it's not insurmountable. By exposing these practices and demanding accountability, we can work toward a justice system that truly serves everyone. Amina's journey didn't end in the courtroom. After serving her unjust sentence, she joined a community group fighting against corruption. "We must stand together and demand accountability," she told the group. "Justice should never be for sale." Her words resonate with millions across the continent who are tired of a system that favors the rich and powerful. They are the voices of change, calling for a future where justice is blind, where the rule of law prevails, and where no one is above accountability. The fight against bribery in African courts is far from over, but every step forward brings us closer to a fairer and more just society. It starts with awareness, with stories like Amina's that shine a light on the dark corners of the justice system. It continues with action, with citizens, activists, and governments working together to root out corruption and build a system that serves everyone. As we reflect on Amina's story, let's remember that change is possible. It begins with each of us, by refusing to pay bribes, by reporting corruption when we see it, and by demanding accountability from those in power. Together, we can create a justice system that upholds the rule of law, protects the rights of all citizens, and restores faith in the promise of justice for all. Amina's journey is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the injustice she faced, she refused to give up. Instead, she became a voice for change, inspiring others to stand up against corruption. Her story is a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, we have the power to make a difference. So, the next time you hear about bribery in African courts, remember Amina. Remember the countless others like her who have been denied justice. And remember that by standing together, we can build a future where justice is not for sale, where the rule of law prevails, and where everyone has the chance to live a life of dignity and fairness. This is the story of Amina, but it's also the story of Africa, a story of struggle, resilience, and hope. It's a story that reminds us that while the road to justice may be long and difficult, it's a journey worth taking. Together, we can create a brighter future for all.